Okay, greetings everyone. It's Coach Mashudu here. It's a Wednesday. I trust you're well. And we'll be talking about transforming relationships and we'll be going further to talk about values today. But before I start, let me introduce my guest. I've got a guest today, so I'm not by myself, so I'm so excited. I've got Hetty, the entrepreneur, and she'll just introduce herself, and then we're going to have a dialogue with her as well. And as we're in this dialogue, also you're welcome to ask questions as well and engage as well. Do type in the comments. So we are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and also on YouTube as well. And also say hi when you're coming through and be part of this. This is going to be an exciting discussion. So I'll just hand over to my guest to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Hetty, the entrepreneur. I'm very, very excited to be here. I love conversations that we have with Coach Mashudu. So I'm looking forward to this evening's conversation and getting to meet all of you and really just having a wonderful time together.
Thank you so much for that. And yes, we've got Linda. Hi, Linda. Welcome. So do type. We'll be able to see your comments. And if you've been following since October, we've been talking about relationships. And we have shared some snippets as well. We have created videos. I also spoke about who am I? And I trust you've been able to watch that video and now you know who you are. And then we also spoke about the spiritual law of love. And for those who are here, I'm not sure, Linda, if you have watched it, but the spiritual law of love, it's all about self-love. So do look into that video. And also there is an ebook, and we'd love for you to get a copy. It's a lovely 17-page book. And then to also introduce you to transforming relationships. It's not only about umjolo, because when people see relationship, they just think about umjolo. And it's more than that. It's the relationship that you have with yourself. So, and today we'll be focusing on values. And if you haven't downloaded the ebook, please do download it. You're just gonna, even just reading it, you'll start transforming and you'll be so amazed how people respond to that as well. And with Coach Hetty, when it comes to relationship, what have you found?
You know, it's interesting. I was really interested in this conversation and to really have it with you because I think as a person grows older, we begin to realize the significance of the relationships in our lives, whether it is with our significant other, whether it is with our colleagues, whether it is our friendships, and also the relationships with ourselves. So as I'm growing older, I think I'm becoming a lot more aware of the relationships in my life. And I'm beginning to now be at an age where I question them to say, okay, yes, I've been in this particular friendship or relationship for many years. Is it still serving me? Is it healthy? Is it toxic? Is it going to assist me in going where I want to in life, or is it holding me back? So I'm finding myself becoming a lot more jealous of the relationships that I have to say, is this the type of relationship that I actually want to keep in my life? Or is it time to shed the old in order to make space for the new? And I don't know if it's a result of growing older that I'm beginning to see it in that way. But for me, I'm finding that the older I'm becoming, the more important it is to have more meaningful relationships. Even if it's not many of them, it's fine if they are few, as long as they're meaningful, as opposed to having hundreds of them, but they're not meaningful relationships. It's something that I'm beginning to find. I'm not sure about yourself, Coach Mashudu. How is it for you?
For me, it has been interesting, but one thing that came out, like listening to you,
I'm not sure if you are muted.
Can you hear me?
For some reason, I can't hear you. Let me increase my sound as well.
Okay. 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 Can you hear me now?
That's
Am
strange. I can't hear you. Let me just see. I want to make sure it's not my sound. Audio.
Okay.
Yeah, the audio seems fine. Can you hear me nicely?
Whilst we are waiting for Katie to join us, I'll just go over what I was going to talk about as well, which is values. And one would ask, what are values? Values is those fundamental beliefs that guide us. And we've got what we call conscious values and subconscious values. Because as human beings, we've got. Okay, she's back. She's back.
Okay, I'm back. I think I'm not sure what happened there. My apologies.
Okay. So whilst we're waiting for you, I'm just starting to talk about values as well. And then let me stop talking about values. Let me just share from what you have just shared in terms of relationships. I realize it's true, as one grows up, our relationship changes as well. And in this year, I've lost so many relationships, but the beauty of it, we tend to say we still want to get attached, is to look at those relationships and say, what growth did I have? What value did I have? Because everyone who surrounds us, they are there to help us with our personal development. And with me, if the relationship is me who's mostly giving, it becomes draining because you come to a point where you feel resentment later. You're like, do I have to speak to her? Do I have to speak to him? But relationships are so beautiful because as much as I'm a coach, you're an entrepreneur, we are forming relationships every moment of the time. And it's so important that we have a good relationship with ourselves, because if we don't, we're going to project. I normally call it our vomit to other people, because if you don't, if you don't have that with yourself, it's really going to affect those other relationships. And as you grow, you realize there isn't time to waste. You have to have those meaningful relationships, and they have to evolve. And when they end, you need to be grateful that they've ended, but also look at the positives. We tend to look at the negatives, and we see also relationships on social media, like even the one which is trending now. When the relationship started, everyone was sitting on, my father, they were sitting on the phone for 12 hours telling each other how much they love each other. And then now is the end. How do you treasure and nourish that journey? Because a lot would have happened which was good, and then now there's the bad. It's how you balance it. That is quite so important, because it will also affect also your business relationship. So that is what I'm seeing as well.
Absolutely. One thing, Coach Mashudu, that I would love to ask you is that in our relationships that we have, how do we know that that particular relationship needs to undergo transformation? What are the signs that we should be looking for to say that the way things are going is not the right way and it is time to seek an intervention?
Okay, so let's start with the one of Mjolo, like the one between two people. Oh, okay. Mpume says there is a recording, Mpume. You'll find it here on Facebook or also on YouTube. Please do listen to after. We apologize for that. So when a relationship needs transformation, because as human beings, daily we are evolving. And normally when you meet someone, you either meet them to learn something from them to level up, or it's either that you've got something that they have to learn from you.
Yes.
And then let's say both of you meet up because it was something similar. You find that the others start leveling up, and when they start with the first one start leveling up, the other one stays behind. And it's up to you, like in a it's so important. I value relationships because relationships, particularly Mjolo, helps you to grow. There isn't any better because you attract who you are. The 12 hours one would have been spending talking and whatever, it weighs off. But then the crunch time comes and say, why am I attracted to this person? Why is this person irritating me now? And you realize the person is irritating because it's reflecting your shadow side, which we have been taught not to look at our shadow side. And then when you see, wow, I'm grateful that John is showing me this, and we don't see that, we start crying, telling our friends that he has changed. He hasn't. It's just that now, yes, the sparks, we're saying, okay, if I see this, it's triggering me and it's irritating me. What does it say? What do I need to learn? And then when you say, yes, now I'm ready, I'm going to find help, you're going to find a coach, because all of us, we've been through so much trauma. Currently, as a country, we're going through the trauma of load shedding daily, and we have normalized it.
Yes, yes.
Normalized it so much. And in 2020, when we had the pandemic, we had to go and face our demon and our traumas. And some people haven't recovered because they've got the stigma of saying, I cannot go to a psychologist or anyone. And you find that most relationships went through the most through that time. So when that happens, I need to level up, let's get intervention. And when people, those two people are working together to change, the relationship blossoms. We normally call it twin flames. So twin flames are the people who show you the worst of you and becoming relationships. So then you say you want help, so you can go to a relationship coach or to a normal coach, to any coach, and you start healing those. And you heal one layer at a time. And when you do that, you find that you get better. But if the other person, they'll say, when I was since and coach my shoulder, but when you heal your traumas, because when you meet someone, you see them wearing beautiful suits. You don't see the scars that they've been through, not being beaten by their parents, not being cheered, all these things, and then they start surfacing up as well. So that is why you find that you have to level up and start growing. And it doesn't mean you have to go and see a coach one-on-one. You can do personal development. There's so many amazing recordings on YouTube that are done by different coaches, so you can read self-help. But when you feel like I'm tired with self-help, go and find someone. So that is when you realize a relationship. So the moment you start fighting with someone, says, now we have reached the level, now we need to find out why we are fighting. What is this person showing me? Even in a business as well, you start realizing that. And it comes back to our values. You find that most relationships, they don't last if the values are misaligned. If the top three values for each person are misaligned, those people are going to fight all the time. And there is a way of aligning them. That is one of the techniques that I do. If you've got someone, you're really serious, and all of you've got these 3 goals of integrity, of succeeding, and all that. But you find that the way they are aligned, the other one is number 5, the other one is number 2, and you always, but you see, this is what I want to achieve, but they're not aligned. So that is why it's important. Relationship and the others, you'll develop them, but your values are key because they're the fundamental beliefs that guide you all the time, like integrity. You might find that and you say you don't know your values, and when someone wasn't honest with you, you just get angry. That means it's your value because that person has trespassed it and you feel so sad. And then then you realize, and other values we create daily. You could be on social media on a daily basis, so that means social media is your value.
Wow, sure, that's deep. That's actually quite powerful. So the way that we live our lives shows what we are putting and placing our value in.
Yes. And we've got what we call conscious values, which, because it's conscious values, is just roughly 5% of our lives. It's short-term things because we've got the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind runs 95% of our lives. And then you find that those are misaligned. You find those values are there. There's a lovely technique that when you do the course, you'll see what I mean by that. And then you say, no, today I value trust. And then tomorrow you are not aligned. You do something which makes you not be trustworthy, and you go like, but I'm like this, and then you find out you become Bakambili. That is one Zulu word I had to learn when I came to KZN. You become Bakambili, or you become two-sided, because those two are fighting with each other. They are not aligned as well. But
Yes.
you are a beautiful human being. That's why you have to ask for the help and understand who you are.
Is a relationship able to survive a values misalignment? If you value one particular thing heavily and your partner values something else heavily, is it possible for the two of you to be able to find alignment in that, or to be able to even for your relationship to continue despite the fact that you agree that you have a values misalignment?
Mostly they don't survive. That is why you have to cut your losses. But if both of you look and you do the assessment and you realize all these, maybe the 4 values, they are there, but they are misaligned, you can align them and have that conversation. But you really to work daily, because also relationship, because even we go through seasons, we go through 4 seasons of life, the winter, the summer, and the autumn. But your values will help you to sustain that, but they need to be aligned. That's why I said the first 3 needs to align. So if you've got similar values, but they are, at times you think like your boyfriend is there, but he was telling you that, it just means that there's misalignment, but they are there, but you can align them. So there is a technique, because everything that you do is in our mind. So there is a technique to help you to align, and you have a beautiful relationship. And it doesn't mean that relationship have to be perfect. There won't be conflict. That is why we have to continue to grow. And you might find that when you grow up, your parents didn't have good conflict management, but that gives you the opportunity to learn that skill. Because mostly when we, let's say in a marriage especially, in a marriage, we bring 6 people in a relationship. So that is you and your parents, and then the partner will bring their parents. So you're bringing the behaviors, the conditioning, the values, and you find that the first 2 years or the first year of the marriage, there is drama, because now that hormone of saying I love you is gone, and then now you're really getting into this, and then because everyone, we've got all of us, we've got hidden agendas, and we never say, and they start coming out after saying I do, and that person is there. So it's to stay on and say, this was my hidden agenda. This is what I'm bringing. So having those conversation of how the person was raised, what they've been through is very important. But at times our ego makes us to lie and make us to look perfect. But that also is going to kill the relationship in the long run. If there are kids involved, it makes it worse. So it's important that we're brutally honest with ourselves first, and then with others, then you have those meaningful relationships.
Absolutely. I often think to myself, we're living in a time where a lot of people are interested in personal growth and development and improving themselves. And should a person first focus on themselves and who they are, and work and do the inner work first before now targeting their relationships? Or should they first start with the relationships, or can the two of them work hand in hand? Where should we actually be beginning?
Ideally is to work on yourself, but as human beings, we've got those hormones. You see somebody and you have been telling yourself, when I get a boyfriend, I need a boyfriend who's like that and all that, and it's so natural. So if you're in that and you met someone, just say yes as much as and then have that conversation with them and say, I've met you, you might have drama, and I'm going to work on myself. And be aware as I evolve, I'm shedding. It's like when you look at an onion, and inside the onion, there's a diamond. When you're doing the work, you're shedding off. And the onion, so that person needs to be awake and most of people are still not woke, but they are getting there. But you have to have those conversations. And let's say you're not dating. there's a step in the transformation relationship course where what do you do when you're waiting? I can just share a little bit. You start working on yourself, and when you work on yourself, you realize maybe you are out of a relationship, and the next one that you're gonna come across, you won't meet the same people, because even in marriage or whatever relationship, if you haven't addressed the issues that make you fight, you'll dump John and then you get married to Tom, and then Tom is worse than that person, because everyone we've got what we've got what we call soul lessons that we need to learn, and there's things that helps us. So really help us to upgrade. It's like having a new with our laptops. Our laptops we have to charge them. And then we need to upgrade. So whatever relationship you're in is helping you to upgrade to the other level, like iPhones. iPhones are they're forever upgrading their system. So when you have upgraded that system, you're gonna upgrade, and it was beautiful when that the person you're with helps you to upgrade. And you find there are people who have lovely relationships and they never talk about them. Social media is always talking about sad relationships, but there are people who have got relationship and say, we are here to work on each other. We know we are imperfect human beings, but we're gonna work on this, and it becomes amazing. But yeah, so ideally is to work on yourself. But in life, you also have to experience drama, because like you cannot come from a space and say, I've been this, because sometimes you need to understand the emotions that people have been through. Like with transforming, like myself, I've been through drama, through lack of self-love, not loving myself. So now I teach people how to love myself. Because I know where people are coming from. Now I'm teaching people about it as well. So experience helps you with your wisdom as well. It doesn't mean you have to go through a lot of crap, but you need to understand, and so that you help people take them on a journey. Because some people you might find that they haven't learned, and myself, I've been reading books on emotional intelligence since I was 14. That has been my love.
Wow, that is amazing.
So you find that there are not people who are not there. So you need to be very patient and take them on a journey.
I'm really quite interested because, you know, sometimes you hear stories about people where relationships end, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship, and people say, we grew apart. And sometimes what I find is that what has happened is one party is growing in a certain way. Maybe they're taking personal growth and development seriously. They've got a coach. They're developing themselves. They're doing the work. And then the other person is left behind. When you begin to embark on this journey, how important is it to bring the people who you are in a significant relationship with to be able to actually grow with you so that you don't end up growing apart?
It's important because it comes back to communication. And where there's lack of communication, there's always chaos. And if communication is one of your values and the other person is not, you find that they grew up, they didn't see their parents talking. They just saw their parents, the father is sitting watching TV, and there wasn't that communication. Even myself, I remember when I grew up, I had to learn it at a later stage when my kids, and saying, when you come from work, you need to speak to your kids and understand. So I was just repeating what I saw when I was young, and just saying, as long as I've got food, I pay for school fees and whatever I change, that is fine. But you have to have that communication. So it's quite important that you speak to the people who are around you and tell them where you're going, but so that they support you. In my family, they don't support. What the beauty is that even when they don't support you, find in their tribe. There's a tribe waiting for you to help you evolve. The first few months you might feel lonely, but I was just talking to I had a client today. We were talking about loneliness. Loneliness, it could be something that happened when you're young that has made you feel lonely, but you're never alone. We are never alone. our angels and all that working with us, but we are loved, we're surrounded. God is always directing us and all that. So we need to be able to just tap into that. Then you find that that is what is it. So it's important you tell those. And then they'll say, she's becoming better and all that. But it just shows you there's an end. With everything, there's death and there's birth. And we don't take well death. We celebrate birth. But when there's death, there's so much awakening and so much gifts that are coming through. And because of our comfort zone, we're so scared to get to the unknown and tap to this thing that we don't know we want to control, because we're always in the past and the future. We forget the present. And that's why it's important you need to be in the present, because tomorrow you might be dead and you might say, by that last time you have your last breath, you said, I wish I spoke to my daughter. I wish I spoke to my husband. So that is why we have to learn to be now and treasure each time. And communicating with those people is quite important.
Absolutely. Wow, that is so, so powerful. Coach Mashudu, you've been talking about the Transforming Relationships course. Can you just unpack that a little bit for us, what it's about, and, you know, if a person is interested in it, etc., what is it about? We've been talking about relationships today, relationships with our partners, relationship with friends, family, ourselves. If I feel that, you know what, I want to begin this journey of transforming my relationships so that I can begin to see differently and live a good life, what would this course actually entail?
So transforming relationship is all about having a surgery, transforming you first, because we cannot give from an empty cup. And most of the time, something which we never learned, we went to school, we learned maths, we learned all this, but we never learned who we are. So this is an opportunity to have a me time to understand who you are. And to understand who you are is not your titles. It's not what you say is Coach Mashudu or all the names that I have. It's beyond that. It's all about talents. What does your soul yearn for? And it's more than that. And it's also the other things that we focus on. It's understanding your values, because your values, as I said, they drive there. They're fundamental. Everything that you do is aligned with your values, and daily we're creating new ones, and you might find that they're not serving you, they're not serving the higher person that you are. And we also look at inner work. So there's this thing of, I call it inner work or soul work, and people are not ready to look at their dark side, but the dark side helps us because it helps to elevate, and that is where the umjolo comes in and helps us to elevate. This umjolo, you find that if you're not in a relationship, you find that your boss makes you you need the money, and every day you're fighting and you feel unappreciated. Something that I've learned as well in my working career before I started working for myself is that I didn't feel myself. So talented and all that. I was waiting to always be validated by my leaders. I was waiting to say, okay, say this and this. And so I had to learn. Leadership showed me that I need to value myself. And later, as much as I used to hate my boss, I was like, thank you for showing me who am I and taking me to tap into the talents, because when one is going through that, we want to curse people, we hate them, we put them on social media. And when one is looking, all you are saying is everything about you that you need to look at. And then also something that one will learn with this is finding your purpose in a relationship. Every relationship will be purpose, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your boss, or whether it's with yourself as well and your kids as well. And for me, I love the kids one, because with the kids, I'm grateful I've got these two kids. I've learned so much in my life. I've learned also to be present, because if I didn't have them, I believe, as much as I'm an introvert, I know people think like I'm talking too much, but when I get to what I love, So I have those conversations with them. I learned to hug through my kids, especially my son. Like I used to, when they hug me, I'm like, what are they up to? What do they want? But when it's a person, an individual just teaches you that. And then my daughter has taught me to speak up for myself and ask when I want something. And we always say we want to be tangible when we in our next life, because you just ask, and even the teachers, they just are like, what did you do? Express myself. So you learn. So with every relationship, you might have been through a terrible breakdown or an abusive. That one is just saying, you speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself. Know who you are, know your worth, and know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And then understand the relationship that you have as well. And then we also speak about what can you do whilst you're waiting. Let's say you don't have a partner. One thing we have been taught is that whilst you're waiting, and then if you meet someone you just like them, you just say, now they're my boyfriend. But you find that after 2 weeks, no. And even with young kids, if you are listening to this, you need to encourage them to be in current relationship, not physical. They need to be involved in thoughts to understand how they navigate life. Because when you start to be in a relationship as a young person, you just learn those things and you miss out on the gifts and talents that other people have. So it's important you have those companionship. Because at the end of the day, relationship is about companionship. If you don't love yourself, if you don't value yourself, if you don't have a vision and mission, you're not gonna survive, because you're gonna be like I wanted to say an insect. There's this thing, a bed bug in
Yes.
Because that's what you're gonna do, because you'll be leeching on the person because you're not. So everyone has to bring their A game into the relationship. Then when you have got your A game, you're gonna produce triple A's, because that is all about. And I just saw in one of the, I was on the phone, it was a pastor who said, who told you that men must always give you money? When are you gonna give him money? And I'm like, this is so interesting. You have the money that you're looking for. So it's about the love. Like, I mean, I could be vulnerable as well for me. What I've learned, I've had many relationships, and in those relationships, especially with men, I've been looking for a father, because my father died when I was, and then when my partner wouldn't behave the way and I want to be rescued, I lose it. And the young child in me, the inner child in me, just reacts and all this. So look into your relationship. When they can't provide, remember they can't read our mind. And before they even met, you find out they've met you when you're 25. All these 25 years, they don't know your history. And
that's so true.
Beings, and it's so unfair. So when I learned that, I'm like, oh no, I need to go and apologize to these guys, because I was just treating them like my father, and we'll have those nasty fights, and it wasn't lovely. So look, and then with that, what I learned, I had what we call inner wounds. I had father wound, because my father died when I was 3, so I've been looking, and having a father is quite important, because a father teaches you how to take risks, and then they can be your cheerleader, and you have to. And we wouldn't be there if our parents didn't meet. We tend to say, no, as long as the father is not there, but everyone has got a bigger role to play. And then also with me. And then I also had mother wounds. I stayed in the same house with my mom, but mostly my grandma was present. And then I had to understand why my mom was distant. When I only learned that when I was 40, why she was distant. Imagine for 40 years you're living with this. How could somebody give birth to me? How could somebody still stay and you're their child and they don't give birth? Realize they went through their own traumas. And then you have to heal and realize, oh, she's a human being as well. She doesn't know what to do up, because I've got coaches. So I can't try and help and force her to level up, because she doesn't believe in it. There's a belief of saying, no, if we go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they're going to tell the world. So you have to forgive yourself and them and say, yes, I'm going to do this for myself. So you find that that is what happens. So that is why I say relationships, they are so great because they show you what you need to work on. And then when you find you're going to cry, but you're going to be better. And with me, I love my transformation and the fact that, and when you can talk about something and you laugh about it, it shows that you're on your way to it, and it doesn't hurt you. And it doesn't mean you've forgotten about it, but you have learned, because with everything that we go through, there are lessons to be learned.
Absolutely. Gosh, I've enjoyed this conversation so much, because I think we seldom talk about the impact that our relationships have on us. And the fact that even in our formative years, like you talked about the mother wound and the father wound, we don't even realize how those traumas are showing up today in the way that we are relating with others. So I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about the Transforming Relationships course, because these are all the things that we begin to learn to unpack and begin with ourselves. So I believe that, you know, when in saving this particular conversation, there will be a link to the course as well. And I think it's important that all of us delve into that, because this is actually going to be how we continue these conversations with ourselves, with our significant others within our lives, so that we can be able to take ourselves to the next level. Thank you so much, Coach Mashudu, for creating that course and creating the platform for us to be able to tap into this, because for many people, we don't grow up having these conversations or even having these resources available. But now that it's there, we can actually tap into it and begin to learn more about ourselves and our relationships better as well.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I'm also evolving. It doesn't mean my relationships are perfect, but the beauty of learning and improving, it makes you to be better. And life is so beautiful. It's so beautiful with all its dramas as well.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. Thank you so much, Coach Mashudu. I've really just enjoyed this time and learning about transforming relationships, and looking forward to really digging deeper into the course. And for everybody else that is interested in it, to also register for the course, use the link, and really have access to that information, because it's information that you're not going to just learn going about your day. You have to be so intentional about your own personal growth and development, which I think is so important.
Yes, I agree. And then as well as you're learning, so on the 4th of December, save the date, I'll be in Gauteng. We're going to send more info, so do look out. We're going to have this discussion face-to-face, so it won't be online. It'll be over lunch. For the 4th of December, guys, do come and join us, and we can't wait to have these discussions. And whatever we shared today, it's just the basic. There's so much to talk about and to know.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the 4th of December. I think it's one of those where not only do you need to come, but you need to come with your significant other, your kids, your family, your friends, because these are the important people that you're in relationship with. And it is really opening up the floor for us to be able to speak communally. So it's not just for women or not just for men, but it's for all of us to come together to say, how do we transform these relationships? What are the different expectations we're having from each other? What are the unspoken things that we are not speaking about? And also being able to hear it from the different perspectives, so that we can really have a robust conversation. So I think that is going to be really great. And the fact that it's physical is good, because I think we are all zoomed out. We want to see each other. We want to exchange that energy. So I think that's going to be a wonderful way to begin to wind down the year as well.
Yes, I'm excited. So we trust. So do check my social medias as well. And if you've forgotten, you can also send me a DM. We'll be able to respond. But be clued up. Remember to register. Because when you transform yourself, it's not only about you, it also transforms family, wherever you work, your businesses, because if you're not well, no one is going to come and buy from you, because we are all energy. And it's important that we preserve the energy, the good energy, the high vibration that, and also on the course we look into that, how you preserve, how you increase your vibration so that people get excited when they see you.
Absolutely. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Coach Mashudu. Thank you for this platform and the wonderful opportunity to engage with you.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone. I see also there's Linda who joined and Edina as also. Guys, when you're listening to this, type replay. And if you've got any further questions, do type them. I will come back and respond them to you. And enjoy the rest of the week. And it was a pleasure for you just to take your time and be with us. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to see you guys on the 4th of December. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.